what is ZANU-PF promising the people of Bulawayo, specifically young people? I want us to narrow down to young people. What is it that ZANU-PF is promising the youth in Bulawayo?
Thank you very much once again. ZANU-PF being led by the able leadership of His Excellency, the President Idi Mnangagwa. I think his government, you've seen the good works that he's doing, infrastructure development that is happening across the country, you know, you name it. So we're looking forward to, as a party, to make sure that that same development really trickles down into our province, and make sure that we also create an upper middle economic class by 2030. So that vision by His Excellency, we are going to make sure that is a party here after winning elections, you know, for the first time after here in Bulawayo, mind you, here in Bulawayo, the opposition, they are the ruling party in Bulawayo. But
no, we are the leading party, we are the ruling party. We lead, so and you guys rule.
We are going to make sure that we win these elections, and our party is very clear in terms of winning.
In terms to do for young people, noting that it's mainly the old generation that has been supporting ZANU, sorry, and I want you to address that because it is a conception, a misconception, so you address that.
Alright, okokuqala Leslie, ngizathanda ukuthi izaphu izimele yodwa, izaphu ayiso ZANU-PF. And okwesibili, izaphu is the only party at the moment ku-2023 ele manifesto. Ele manifesto. Izaphu is the only party ele manifesto. I-manifesto yezaphu i-driver i-main point we are pushing i-point okuthiwa i-human security model. Human security model sithi sesikhangela abantu, we are going back to the basics. Ngesikhathi unkomo lamanye ama-forefathers ethu aye kuzaphu ngendlela ababesenza ngayo izinto, sesiyenza njalo futhi we are going back to the basics.
What we're going to do for young people, when we talk about empowerment, we don't just talk about giving them free handouts, but we also speak about two issues of service delivery in their own awards. Because I'll give you an example in Couchback. Did you know that the whole of Couchback, we have 2 high schools, just 2 high schools, and all of them are found in one part of Couchback. So that on its own is a disempowerment to the young people of Couchback. And when we are coming in as CCC, we are saying we are bringing development for everyone across all sectors.
So in terms of the youth, I think we're very clear. There are issues to do with housing. You know, mind you, yesteryears, our fathers and mothers and grandfathers got houses for, you know, for a song. I think they're paying some around $20. You know, now we have a command housing that we are selling to the youth by the vision of our president. There's going to be command housing. So we're going to address the issues of housing, because the scarcity in terms of you know, accommodation here in Bulawayo province, we feel that that scarcity is you know, yenziwa ngabome at times, so that abantu may be prepared to pay high monies, you know, so that they buy stands and whatnot. So we're looking forward to make sure that ama stands that are going to be built by the government, ama youth ethole izindlu ngendlela abadala bethu bathola ngayo izindlu.
All right, let me come back to ZANU-PF, the ruling party. Let's talk about devolution. Pasho spoke about young people, the White Retention Fund. What is ZANU-PF doing in terms of assisting young people realize the full benefits of devolution of power?
Thank you very much once again. I think for fairness sake, I think you should also allow me to react to some what other people have just said, because you have allowed them to react on what I've said. So let's be fair. We're also going for elections. We want the election to be free and fair. So let's start to be free and fair here. So actually, my colleague from CCC spoke about development, especially here in Bulawayo, development for all and whatnot. I think that's what the party is doing. Look what Professor Mtule has just done in Country. That's development for all. I'm seeing quite a lot of things happening there.
No, that is what is money. That is state money.
Listen, is it while I'm talking? Let me just talk.
Let him finish.
Let me finish. development is happening, infrastructure development in terms of, in clinics, let's talk of roads and whatnot. So in terms of development for all, I think that our party is leading in that regard. Whatever the president is doing up there at government level, it's trickling down into Bulawayo. And also the issue of, youth participation, I think also as a party, we're the leaders in this. Even if after independence, you can recall that the youngest minister, the youth minister, was Ma'am Juru. I think we're leaders in this. They are following our path in terms of, implementing what we've started. So I think as ZANU-PF is a mass party. We are the leaders and we are leading, and they're following. And it's good that the opposition learn from what we are doing, and we should get to an extent whereby we don't just oppose for the sake of opposing. What is good that is being done by ZANU-PF, I think our fellow opposition guys should just compliment what we're doing as a party. And in terms of development, like I said before, development is coming into Bulawayo, and coming to the issue of devolution. I think we have implemented devolution. And in terms of implementing our devolution, it's not an event. It's a process.
It's a process.
And the process started after the new dispensation. I think we now have the ministers of state, and there's some funds that are coming from the fiscus, what you call devolution funds, that are coming into Bulawayo, and make sure that Bulawayo people, the people of Bulawayo, will decide what they want that money be used in terms of devolution. And later on, I think you have now seen that we now have a component of provincial councils, provincial council here in Zimbabwe. It's very fortunate that ZANU-PF managed to file, and 10 provincial councillors, they went there and contested. I think our friends here, they're not worried about devolution. They don't file.
Scared of elections.
Let's finish.
Okay, let's go.
They're not worried. They don't care about devolution. They do not file for provincial councillors. We filed for provincial councillors because we want to make sure that devolution becomes real. We're going to have provincial councillors, and a lot of things that we were crying about some years ago, that passports are not being taken. Well, we're not getting passports here. They're not being printed here. We are seeing things happening here, and under the devolution mantra, things are happening here. Even in terms of tenders, at times we are also, especially as the youth in our parties and PF, we are advocating that tenders which are awarded to Bulawayo must be awarded to local companies, and whenever there is a company that has been awarded tender which is outside Bulawayo, should contract companies within Bulawayo so that they also implement
Thank you,
that.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Freedom. So that was Freedom, Comrade Freedom, he calls himself, from ZANU-PF, enlisting what ZANU-PF is doing in terms of assisting young people realize the full benefits of devolution of power, with Nigel Ndlovu having spoken extensively about what ZAPU is doing in terms of devolution, and of course we had Pasho Spanda also speaking about devolution. Welcome to Youth Election Talk, proudly brought to you by the National Youth Development Trust, a program that seeks to talk about youth issues affecting every young person as Zimbabwe moves towards the 23 August 2023 elections. And we know that all focus is specifically on some young people who are contesting in this year's election. And in our last episode, we did tackle issues to do with devolution of power, and we also spoke about the three gentlemen that are with me.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to get straight into it. This year, we are going to witness something that has never been witnessed in Zimbabwe before, the youth quota, which will see about 10 young people being represented in parliament. Do you feel 10 young people are enough, considering that young people constitute about 67% of the population? Let me start with Nigel.
Ngiyabonga Leslie, indaba le youth quota, mina personally I've always been against it, because I feel like as young people we're supposed to be not given ama seats engani sesizwe lo usizi. abadala bathi behamba empini bahamba empini belabo 19 belabo 16 belabo 24 why sokumele siye eparliament sokuthiwa hayi thathanini ama-6 la ngu-10 ngaweni. Enye into engisabisayo nge-youth quota ukuthi ama-youth amanye esizawabona khona ngale asikwazi ukuthi ngama-youth anjani, ngoba siyakwazi ukuthi i-process yena le ukuze nifake ama-youth e-youth quota bekufunakala izimali. Amanye ama-parties anjengeZAPU, uZAPU asifakanga ama-candidates e-youth quota because besingela mali. Kufake laba abafowethu lapha ngoba bona bale mali abanye baluthi imali sebefaka ama-youth futhi ngemali zethu. So as a young person I feel like we need to come to a point as a country which we need to appreciate that young people can also lead and we cannot be given ama leadership positions just in ukuthi ayithathani nani selifuna ukuthi bone eparliament. I think we risk ukuthi sibona ama-youth angasoze even esikhulumele khona ngale ngoba babefakiwe. So ungazama ukuthi ukhulume sokathiwa wena siyakukhipha phela la ngoba sikufakile phela la nge-youth quota le. So I feel like we need to vote in as the people because the youth are the people actually. Now city 67% ngama-youth. Ama-youth can influence abadala ezindlini la ukuthi hayi sicela nivotele nanje ngoba la ngumyouth. Even abanye bengaregister. So young people have got a power, they know what's happening in the country. Ama-youth asebenzi maningi, ama-youth abulawa izinjengo maningi, ama-youth abulawa i-crime maningi. Ithi sikwaziyo konke lokho. And nxa ugogo lapha khona endlini enguye register ukuvota umzukulu yakwazi ukuthi hayi gogo into lezi ezihluphayo lezi sicela ufake iphathi bakhe. So ama-youth have got influence, and as a country, we mustn't underestimate young people. We need to put young people in positions of power, but also young people need to start fighting for what's for them. Like we need to help people like Abu Pasho, Lomfowethu la asingene nini ezama-youth ayikhona ukuthi sikhalele ama-seats, asisebenzeni ku-ground, asingene nini ku-politics, asingene nini kuma-structures. Kodwa singaphiwa ama-seats just because we're young people.
Alright, so Nigel though is basically saying that the youth quota is some form of tokenism and that young people should actually contest in the mainstream election. Do you agree with those sentiments, Pasho?
Yes, 100%. We're one of the people which rejected that proposal by the ED government because, I mean, we are the majority as young people. And what's interesting is that when that gang of ZANU brought independence, they were young people, and it was not just given to them on a silver platter. We have always said in our political party, young people must contest same way as adults are contesting, and we've been leading in that because the youngest sitting member of parliament is Joanna Mamombe from Harare West. And the deputy mayor for the city of Bulawayo, Councillor Mlandungube, came from the youth assembly. Even Solomon Mkuni came from the youth assembly. And as I'm talking to you right now, we fielded 5 young people in constituencies in Bulawayo, myself included. Njube in Lopengula Makweko, we have Eric Gono, we have Tisen Pachila for Luveve, we have Comrade Ostalos in Chabalala Pelantau. So that shows that as the party we've never banked on this thing of saying youth quota, because what ZANU is doing, they want to pretend as if they're doing us a favor and just giving us these free seats and so forth. We don't need that. We don't want that. We cannot have a country that is run on quotas, women quota, youth quota. We want leaders that are elected by the people. And it's because of, when you take power through a coup, you always think that people should always be awarded and be rewarded. And that's the precedence which ZANU is now setting. And we're clear as the CCC Youth Task Force, we are not pro this youth quota. We want young people to be elected like any other, leader in the country.
You've been firing so much salvo at ZANU-PF. Allow me to introduce Comrade Freedom to respond immediately to some of the sentiments that have been raised by Nigel and also Pasho.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy that he is really admitting that it's ZANU-PF that brought independence to this country. For him to speak like the wife.
No, everyone brought independence.
You know, he said the ZANU gang. Yes.
We see
All right, let's allow him to speak. I think he allowed you
It
guys
was
to
both
speak.
Zipra and Zanla. Anyway, I'm very happy that he mentioned those issues that ZANU-PF brought independence. Of course, it's ZAPO and ZANU combined. Now coming to the issue of the youth quota, it's more of the same with the women's quota, right? And these guys have been also fielding women's quota. Why didn't they, also not field women's quotas if they're against the youth quota? Because it's almost one the same. We are talking of marginalized groups in our society, the women and the youth. When we go for competitive politics, you find that male candidates, especially those who have been in politics for quite some time, they're the ones who have got the capacity to go and stand. It's not vote buying, should I say. It's called capacity. You mentioned about monies and whatnot. It's called capacity. So they have the capacity. Now that the bulk of our women and the youth, they don't have capacity. We, especially now, the youth quota, it came as a resolution from the ZANU-PF National Youth League Conference, where I also sit. We lobbied, we resolved that there be a youth quota. That, since my colleagues are even agreeing that the youth are the majority. Is the youth quota, the one is not even enough. We should make sure that we're even more than the women themselves. But the good thing is that the women are also, the youth are also taken care of in the women's quota. We also have some youth there who are in the women's quota. So you find that in the near future, if you keep lobbying, we might have a lot of young people getting into there in parliament, youth quotas. Then we have quite a number of youth in parliament to start crafting policies which are youth-oriented. You get it? So it doesn't necessarily mean that we're not saying the youth must not contest. We are contesting. That's the reason why I also contested. I contested because of the capacity. You see, I've heard some people saying, you guys do vote buying and whatnot. There's nothing called vote buying. It's called capacity. So I've got the capacity. He has the capacity.
That's not even vote buying. It's rigging.
That's why he even contested, because he's got the capacity, right? So the youth who have got the capacity should contest in competitive politics parliament. Then the ones who don't have capacity, but with with some leadership qualities, we second them into the youth quota. Because we know that maybe Nigel is a technocrat. We then say, no, he is a technocrat, but he doesn't have capacity in terms of going to competitive politics and whatnot. But he is a resource. What do we do as a party? What do we do as a country? We feel that person as a youth quota, so that he goes in there and represents us using his field. So that's what we've been doing as a party, and we're going to make sure that we keep also lobbying. And he spoke of, my colleagues here spoke of Madam Mamombe, who is in the parliament and whatnot. Our party is also promoting that. Of course, yes, there are some of these people are not longer youth, but they're youthful. Comrade Mangaliso is now in the cabinet. We talk of Comrade Mswere, Comrade Tinmark, and whatnot. Not only those people, we are even lobbying. There is a percentage of youth quota which is supposed to be in boards and of parastatals. We're also lobbying to make sure that, of course, some of those people are not implementing, some of the ministries are not implementing that. And as the leader of the Youth League, under our watch, we are going to make sure that the youth, even from our colleagues, assist us pushing. We want to make sure that the youth are involved in the mainstream economy, not just in politics, because we want to be involved in the economy. We want to make sure that the youth are being appointed into boards of parastatals. We should also be pushing. Like I said before, we shouldn't oppose for the sake of opposing. If we start something that we see that is very progressive as a party, you from the opposition, you should also try in the second house to say no. Same is the case with us. If you see guys that you're doing well and whatnot, no, we really applaud that. We are very happy that you seconded Dubana Mamombe, who is a young cadre into parliament. And you're also following our footsteps that we have been doing as a party, and we're going to keep doing it again and again and again. So it shouldn't remain in politics only, even in the business sector. Even in terms of awarding of tenders, we want to make sure that we're advocating that there be a quota system in terms of tendering. We should make sure that these tenders should not be only awarded to big or established companies. We should also be allowed to grow. We should also, the president is very clear, the ilizwe lakho ngabanikazi balo lathi singabanikazi belizwe as a youth we should make sure that our companies, the companies that are run by the youth, are also involved in tendering and giving these tenders to build roads and whatnot, and make sure that we are owners of our development. We should make sure that the development of today mustn't be parachuted to the people like the development of yesteryears. Development of today must be participatory development. We should make sure that as the youth also involved in the development of our country, not only in politics. Let's not just run into politics. Some should also go into business, some should go into boards and of parasitism. And our party is very clear about that, and we're determined, and we're going to keep on pushing that the youth quota, one per province is not a good number. We should make sure that number yakho iyakhula. Abanye bayacontesta, abanye siyabafaka nge-youth quota. Inamba ingaba iningi ngale parliament. We have youth-oriented policies, and we'll make sure that we empower youth. Thank you.
Allow just a minute, Nigel, to respond to that. You already hinted that we don't need the youth quota. But this is a huge demographic that surely deserves representation in parliament. What's your immediate reaction to the stuff that you just spoke about right now?
Let's ngikhulumele ukuthi kathesi sikhuluma sihlezi la abantu abakwanisa ukufilter ama-youth wona la youth quota bekufunakala izimali. So what are we saying about ama-parties labantu maybe abangama-independents who can't be part of that youth quota? So already the system is flawed, and youth quota ngokubona kwami is to control young people, to also like censor them. Ngoba sungene nge-ticket le-party le susiyakhuluma le-party leyana vele ama-youth usukhohlwe ngawo ngoba uphushe agenda ye-party le. So I feel like as young people, ilizwe ngale ranwa kuhle, we'll have more young people getting into governance, getting into politics, bevotelwa ngabantu. Kube legit, kube authentic. Ayikona ukuthi ngani siyaphiwa, ngani sizwela usizi ukuthi ayasifake nama youth ngoba they are marginalized. We are not marginalized, we are just suffering because the country is being misgoverned.
Okay, all right. A quick one, a minute on the issue of youth quota. Noting that it's a huge population, he says that we actually need to increase so that there is more representation of young people, considering that there are issues to do with capacity. So why not give them an opportunity to be represented in parliament?
Yes, thank you very much, Leslie. I think, like I've said, these things must start at party levels. Within our political parties, we must push and ensure that we have more young people that are running for office. And we're leading by example. Like I've told you that here in Bulawayo, we have 5 young people that will be contesting for the House of Assembly. I think for councillors, we have around 10. So we need that kind of a model to say a political party must make sure they field young people to contest for political power, not to wait for these quotas.
Oh.
Yeah.
You are watching Kiona TV, the one, the only. We are broadcasting live from Pioneer House in Bulawayo, discussing issues affecting young people as we gravitate towards the August 23 election, and it is all system go for these political parties. And I'm in the studio with 3 guests from CCC, from ZAPU, and from ZANU-PF.